Hey, what's up guys? In this video I'm going to show you how to solve the issue that you may have on the SSG24. To show you real quick, some people, and you might be one of them, have the problem that when they rack the bolt back, it sometimes doesn't catch, so basically looks like this. You know, you pull back and it goes forward back again with the spring, but it just doesn't lock in the back. And maybe another problem you might have is that you cock back and then the bolt gets stuck and you can't push it forward anymore. Then you have to, you know, wiggle a little bit and then you can shoot. If you're among those people who have this problem, I'm very sorry. It happened due to a lack of quality control. I took care of that. It's not going to happen anymore. But yeah, we have to fix this. We have to fix this together. That's why I made this video, and that's why I sent you the replacement part that should be in the ladder. It should be a very tiny not plastic piece, steel piece obviously. It's the pistons here, and I'm gonna show you now how to exchange this part, because then the problem is going to be fixed. Okay, alright, so here we have the SSG, and now we're gonna take it apart. It's not too difficult, I'm sure you can do it. All you need is a set of Allen keys, then you need a Phillips screwdriver, and then you also need needle nose pliers, some random needle nose pliers like a Leatherman, or you know, some other needle nose pliers you have lying around. Okay, so first of all we open up the SSG. We separate the stock from the receiver barrel assembly by loosening the screw here in the middle, here in the back with another screw, and then here in front with the bipod stud. It's also an attachment point, so put the Allen keys through it, turn it counterclockwise. Now this might be a little tough, but it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, unscrew this part. Alright, here we go. Now you can separate those two parts by pressing with the thumb into the mag well, and there we go. So what you want to do next is you want to take out the trigger box. Therefore you use a Phillips screwdriver. So screw this screw here out and this one here in the back, and then you should be able to remove the trigger box. Now what we want to do is we want to exchange this part right here. Now the part that's inside this trigger box is already the exchanged one. As you can see here, it's round on top. Camera focus. On your rifle this part will be too wide, and that's why you're having these issues. That's why you have to exchange it to this one, which is machined. Okay, therefore you open the trigger box. Use your Phillips screwdriver again. You have to lose those 4 screws. Now you don't have to worry about anything. If you open up the trigger box, there's no springs that, you know, going to jump into your face, not like on a gearbox, so you don't have to worry about anything. Just open those 4 screws. Then you can remove this plate right here. I'm gonna zoom a little in here so you can see it better. So that's how it looks now. That's the inside of your trigger box, and you want to exchange this part right here. So therefore you just take it out, make sure that you don't lose this tiny spring here. Again, your pistons here should be rectangular here on top. This one is already the modified one. That's the one that you should have in your ladder. So you take the one that's in there, you just, you know, keep it somewhere safe. Maybe one day you will need it again. But now we're gonna install the new one, the one that was in your ladder, and therefore we take this tiny spring and put the one side here onto this tiny pin, and the second side goes onto this little pin right here. And once that's done, you just put it back into its original place, into this hole. Now the flat surface here should be facing the back of the trigger box, and that's pretty much it. Then you can close the trigger box up again and you're all set. Now before we're closing up the trigger box again, I had one customer where the safety pin here got stuck because there were residues left of the molding process. If you're one of those people who sometimes cannot pull the trigger, you know, that you rack the gun and when you want to pull the trigger, it feels like the safety is on, even though the safety isn't on, it's because of this pin. Now, if you don't have this issue, just skip the part, skip to the time that I'm showing you right here. But if you have this problem, here's how to solve it. You have to make sure that this part here can move freely, and if it doesn't, it might be because there's some residues here in the back from the molding process, or there's residues somewhere else. So just find out why it's not moving freely, and you know, just sand that away, make it clean again, maybe oil it up a little, and you should be good to go. If you still, you know, if you still have the problem, what you can do is just remove this part by unscrewing the screw right here, and then you can just assemble the trigger box back together like this. I did this personally on my gun because I don't like the secondary safety. For those of you who don't know what the secondary safety is for, this part makes sure that when your bolt is up, that you can't pull the trigger. I personally don't like this safety because if I accidentally have the bolt up and I want to shoot an enemy, I can do it. So that's why I removed this part. Now we can put the trigger box back together, therefore just, you know, put this back on top. If you can close it, just wiggle a little bit on the pistons here, and there we go. Trigger box closes. Then you can use those 4 screws. All screws are the same length, so you can exchange them if you want. Screw it back together. There's one more thing that I would like you to check, because one customer had this problem and you can avoid it by checking the following. So please take out the spring head stopper like this, pull out the bolt from the system, and then open up the cylinder head by using needle nose pliers. There. Now you can get access to the inside of the cylinder. Take out the piston, pick up the spring and the spring guide, and here please try to unscrew this part from this part. Now on this rifle I can do it because it's glued properly together, but if you can unscrew those two, please unscrew them. And here in the back you will have a little thread, and put glue on this thread. It doesn't really matter which glue, you can use any glue that's working on metal, so you can use super glue. You can also, you know, use proper thread glue if you have some at home, but pretty much any glue will work. So again, put the glue on there, thread it together, let it dry for, you know, maybe 1 hour, and then you can put the rifle together. Otherwise, if you have this problem on your rifle that you can unscrew it, it might happen that after, you know, a few thousand shots it unscrews and then you're not able to fire a shot anymore. So just take care of this once and then you're done. Now I can put it back together, put the spring guide inside first, put the spring inside, put it on the spring guide, then put the piston inside. Close it up again with the cylinder head, screw that together, then use your needle nose pliers and screw it all the way in. Now when you screw in the cylinder head, please be careful to not damage the nozzle. The nozzle is thin and you shouldn't apply any force onto the nozzle. You know, don't use the pliers and grab the nozzle and try to twist it in or anything like this. Use those easy access holes right here to screw it together. Then put it back into the receiver. Then, okay, get the camera to go down here. Then you take the spring guide stopper, here with a little knob. Focus, here with a little knob. This knob goes towards the front like this. Insert the spring guide stopper here. Put back on the trigger box and then screw those 2 screws back in. So screw that back in, and when you screw it back in here in the back and also in front, make sure to not over tight the screws, you know, just tighten them lightly but not too much, otherwise you can break the thread. Okay, there we go. Now we can put this gun together again. We can put it onto the stock. Therefore, put the stock next to the rifle and make sure that the bipod stud right here is on the height of the of this hole of the bipod stud. So this should go right about here so that those two are aligned. Then put it back on and, you know, take an Allen key so that you align the hole from the stock and the hole from the bipod stud to one hole. And then you're good to go. Just screw those screws back in. So the one in the middle, the one behind the trigger guard, just this one here. And last but not least, the bipod stud goes in here. Screw that together so that your barrel receiver assembly sits nice and tight again inside this glass fiber reinforced stock. Okay, there we go. That's it. I hope that was no problem for you. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience. Hope now everything is working out again. Let's test the rifle. Okay, everything's good again. Yeah, if you have any problems with this, don't hesitate to contact me via email at christoph@norwich.com. Email is right here. It will be also linked in the video description. And yeah, thanks for watching.